Okay, so I am coming to you guys on the late night because I got a story to tell. And I don't know, it's just one of these things that bothers me so much, and I thought this is a perfect conversation to have on YouTube, especially since I show up here to talk about entrepreneurship for social workers. So there's a bunch of people out here on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and so many other social media platforms that are talking about entrepreneurship, and there's a bunch of people out here full of it. Like, they're just full of shiggity, right? Just full of tomfoolery. They're on this whole fake it till you make it type of mentality, and they're just out here doing some pure nonsense. And so this topic came up for me tonight. I had some friends over, and two of my friends came over, and both of them are entrepreneurs. Now, one of them is a true entrepreneur, but the other one does multi-level marketing. One thing I see a lot of these MLMers doing, and not just people in multi-level marketing, but a lot of entrepreneurs in general, is what people like to call the flex, the floss, the front, the fake it till you make it type of mentality. And my friend tonight was talking about how much she's generating in her multi-level marketing business, right? And so she started this back in like May of 2020. You know, a lot of people's backs were against the wall. A lot of people lost their job, and they were backed into a corner, and they had to figure out how they were going to make money without having a job, without even having access to jobs, because a lot of places were closed for months, right? And so she got involved in multi-level marketing endeavor. And now I would say she's making, well, she said tonight she's making about $11,000 to $13,000 a month, give or take, right? And we were, so in the midst of this conversation, she asked me, you know, like, when was I going to level up? When you going to get a different house, Michelle? You know, you broke 6 figures last year. You know, it's time to show people that you're leveling up. And, you know, I told her, I was like, yeah, that's not the level up for me. That might be the level up for some people, but that's not the level up for me. I've never been big on materialistic things. I've never been big on trying to impress people. It's just not my thing. I mean, I am who I am, and it is what it is, right? That's why I show up here sometimes with no makeup, because this is how I am behind the scenes. Now, of course, there's a lot of times I show up with makeup because there's the professional self, and then there's the personal self. And as a person showing up on YouTube, I think it's a good idea to show a balance of both. A lot of people show up as perfection, and it's not true, right? So for me, that's not the level up. When I think of leveling up, I think of, you know, knowledge, skills, expertise, value that I'm adding to people, how my knowledge can help impact another person's life, right? To help them become an entrepreneur if that's something they're seeking and they're confused about that process. I mean, I remember being confused about the process. So that's the level up for me and what my goals are. But she was talking to me about, you know, you need to get a new house, you need to get a better car. And I'm like, child, I'm driving a 21 Honda Accord. You know, like a 2019 Honda Civic. Like, I have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home. I still live in the community that raised me. You know what I'm saying? So I still live in the hood. Like, no, just in full transparency, what people call the hood, I technically still live in quote unquote the hood. For me, it's just the neighborhood. She was talking about how she's earning $11,000 to $13,000, and we just got to talking about some business things, and the conversation, the topic of how much, you know, like savings came up when we were talking about me leveling up. And I found it interesting that my friend was talking about, that she really has no savings. And I'm thinking, how are you bringing in $11,000 to $13,000 a month and you don't have any damn savings? So, basically she was talking about, well, Michelle, when you do multi-level marketing to get more people to not just purchase your products, but to join the business, right? Because a lot of multi-level marketing is not just selling the products, but it's getting people to join your downline. So getting people to work under you and also sell the products. And so she said in order to get people to buy into the business model, she has to maintain a certain image. So she has to dress a certain way and carry a certain designer bag or several certain designer bags and wear the red bottoms and drive the fancy car. And so to maintain this image that she's created to try and get people in her downline, this image is costing her, like literally the flex, because that's all this is. She's flexing, she's faking it till she makes it. And the thing is, she's made it to a certain degree. She's made it. I mean, there's plenty of people out there who love to be bringing in $11,000 to $13,000 a month. So to a certain degree, she's made it. But because of the structure of an MLM, because you need to continually bring people in under you to meet your goals, to get the money. And not with all MLMs, not all MLMs are created equal. But for hers, there's certain incentives there's certain targets that you have to meet to get the incentives, to get the bonuses, to get the big money. It's not just off of product sales, along with the fact that product is a requirement. And so she's also month after month purchasing product to do the business, right? And so she was like, I have an image to maintain. There's things that there's a look I have to have in order for people in the industry to take her seriously. And this got me to thinking, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out here on YouTube selling the same crap, like literally selling the same crap. And it's just nonsense. And, one of the main reasons why I'm not leveling up, based on her idea of what the level up is because that's not the type of entrepreneur I am. I just don't get down with the foolery and the fuckery. Like, I just don't get down with the foolishness and the fuckery, right? Because that's not entrepreneurship. Like, let me just be real with you. When you become a new entrepreneur, there's so many stages to this thing. Like, I've been an entrepreneur for 8 years, but I haven't been a real entrepreneur except, I say, for the past 4. So the past 2 years, I've been able to bring money into my business in a steady pace, more so than I was able to do so in the preceding years when it was a little more sporadic. And there were reasons for this, which I've covered in other videos. But I would say about 4 years ago is when I got super serious, because that's when I started to spend money to invest into myself, to improve my skills, knowledge, talents, and areas of expertise, to get mentorship, to gain clarity, to get a lot of the pieces I was missing trying to Google and YouTube and get fragmented information. Don't get me wrong, YouTube and Google are great resources to gather some information, but it's not going to take you all the way. You do need some mentorship, you do need some training, you do need some education, and it just helps you get there a lot faster. I realized that everything that it was taking me time to learn, when I started paying people for it, it just really shrunk that learning curve time down, right? And so, about 4 years ago, I consider that the time that I became a serious entrepreneur. And it takes time. It's a lot of not hard work, but a lot of work. And, it's not always the physical part of doing the work, like creating content, creating the course, creating the digital product, starting the clinical private practice. Those are parts of it, but other parts of it is the mindset piece that needs to take place, that needs to develop over time. And it's a lot of work. You know, you have to, I talk about digital online businesses, and yes, they're a great business model, very low startup costs, very low overhead. You can generate passive or semi-passive income with this, but it takes time, you know. And so if I said it's going to take you 5 years to put 5 years on that, and that seeds you sow today in 5 years will be blooming, would you put that work in? And so, you know, people have this image of entrepreneurship, and like, you wake up in 30 days and you making 6 figures a month, and it just doesn't work like that for most people. Does it work like that for some people? I'm sure it has, but for most people, 9 out of 10 times, that is not the case. You know, it really takes you some time. I would say for a seriously viable digital online business, it's going to take you solid, at minimum, 5 years to really dig into that thing and to really plant those seeds and to see the blooms that you're working today to see tomorrow. You know, you could spend 5 more years at your place of employment, which you might still do that anyway when you're trying to build a digital online business. Not so much a clinical private practice, but when you're trying to build a digital online business, you might still be at your job another 5 years. But the thing is, it's the difference between being there another 5 years or being there another 25 years, right? It's being there another 5 years and potentially generating $10,000 to $15,000 a month in your business, and maybe even more than that, maybe a lot more than that potentially, and spending another 25 years where there's a cap on your salary unless you trade more time for money, and then it puts a limit on the amount of income you can earn over time, right? So entrepreneurship can exponentially put you in a different financial place over time. But it's a lot of these entrepreneurs who are showing you guys flashy cars and flashy houses and all the things, you know, and what happens is a lot of people get into this space and then they think they need to live for the flex. That's one. They get into this entrepreneurial space and they think, well, people, you know, I need to prove to people that I'm making serious coin. Which for me, cars and houses and red bottoms and bags and none of that proves to me you're making serious coin. It proves to me that you could be in possibly some debt, because you got a lot of people out there living their cash poor, right? So they got all the things, but their credit cards are really maxed out, or they have high balances, you know, and if they need to touch something, some coin, some money in hand, cash in hand, they're unable to do so. And this is my friend. She is pulling down $11,000 to $13,000 a month, yet she cannot touch something in case of an emergency. And she talks about me because I live completely different. So yes, I broke 6 figures. I broke over 6 figures, slightly over 6 figures last year. But there is a vast difference between, like, there's levels to this 6-figure thing, right? Because $115,000, which is what my salary was last year, take home after taxes and everything. But $115,000 is vastly different than $915,000. It's huge, huge difference in the levels of those 6 figures. And that I'm just not that person. So I live well below my means. Like, so out of $115,000, I only took out for myself, I budgeted $50,000. And of that 50, I would say about 35,000 went to all my bills, like bills and fun and all the things, right? And then 15,000 got put away in my personal disposable savings. So you should have a few savings account. I have savings for the business. Then I have an overall savings for my retirement. And then I have a disposable cash savings. So my disposable cash or disposable savings is the money I put away annually to touch if I want to do some frivolous shopping, if I want to take a trip on the humbug that's not budgeted into the other money that I set aside. Just disposable money for when I just want to do some things. I've got something to touch in my disposable cash. If my car breaks down, like all the things, because I don't believe in living on credit. Credit cards are for emergencies. This is my opinion. I'm not saying people have to live this way, but this is how I live my life. I live well below my means. And the reason is because I'm going to be 47 April 4th. I'm going to be 47, and I have a plan, my 5-year plan for, I have goals to meet by age 53 to age 55. Things that I want to be set up in my life. I want my business to be set up a certain way. I want my finances to be set up a certain way. And you have to plan, and you have to save, and sometimes you have to tighten your belt. And what I see a lot of is people spend the money too damn fast. They spend the money too damn fast, and they live for the flex or the floss or the front or the whatever you want to call it. They live for, making people think that they're doing a lot better than they're actually doing. And like, who gives a damn what people think? That, that's not the job. I really don't. So I care about what people think. People who are important to me. People who really know me deeply and personally. Their opinion matters. My mom, my daughter, my best friend, who's my ex, him. These people matter to me. But the world at large, like if you come on YouTube and you say, well, her house isn't super new, or whatever, she's not wearing red bottoms, or she's not wearing designer things, or I've seen her in that t-shirt 2 or 3 times in a video, as opposed to the value that I'm providing in the education I'm here to provide, all of these things, right? Things that are meaningful, then this is probably not the channel for you, and I'm probably not the mentor or the entrepreneur to follow. There's a lot of people out there flexing, cash poor. You go look at their account, they can't touch nothing in an emergency, cash poor, but they're making you think they're living the dream, and they're selling you a fallacy. And what happens is people get involved in entrepreneurship, specifically digital online businesses, and when they realize, oh shit, I gotta put in some work, I gotta actually put in some work, they bow out, or they get frustrated, or they feel like they've been lied to, or they've been bamboozled. And it's because you've been bamboozled. And it's an epidemic out here. A lot of these people living for the flex and selling you the fallacy of the flex, so you can buy their services and or products and continue to breed this entrepreneurial nonsense, this sheer entrepreneurial nonsense that they're selling. And so I just had to get that up off my chest, because I was like, child, 11, what is 11? Okay, so she's sitting at 6 figures a year. But damn, like, you don't have any savings. Like, literally every month you're living for the flex. I think she's paying like a $900 a month car note. Listen, listen, this is my theory. If you have to take a mortgage, you can't afford the house. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people who might find that controversial. But if you should be able to purchase whatever you're purchasing, so whatever it is you're purchasing, if you cannot purchase it, what is the rule I heard? If you cannot purchase it like 3 or 4 times, then you can't afford it. So I see a lot of people out there getting mortgages and they're house poor. All of their money is going to pay the mortgage. And they're stuck on the corporate plantation because they got to pay this mortgage, right? They're stuck in a job that they hate. They're stuck living a life that they can't stand because they're paying this mortgage for the flex. There's a lot of people out there paying car notes they can't afford for the flex. So like if you can't go buy the car, you can't afford it. Like if you just can't go get it. And the thing is, people will be like, well, Michelle, it's a brand new car. What that means is for a very long time, up until about 2 years ago, I was driving for 20 years, I drove a beater with a heater. Literally. My car never costed me more than $2,000. And I always drove Honda Accords. I still am driving a Honda Accord. Now, yes, it's a 2021 Honda Accord now. But for like literally while I was in school, I was driving around in a 91 Honda Accord. And, you know, my friends were all driving new cars and laughing. And, Michelle, when you going to get rid of that? Listen, I'm all about having money I can touch because you never know. When the pandemic hit, it was a lot of people really messed up. A lot of people living for the flex. A lot of entrepreneurs I knew living for the flex. Literally cash poor. And that's not your girl. That's not the goal, at least for me. And so I just wanted to come to you and share that because as you follow me, as we both grow as entrepreneurs, if you decide to work with me, if you don't decide to work with me, or you surely just get education from this content that I put out, that is the goal for me. You know, I'm not here to guarantee that someone work with me. I'm not hurting for money. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. We all want to make more money, but I'm not hurting for money. I'm not living a lifestyle that I cannot afford. And so I think it's important as an entrepreneur, as much as I give you the tips, the tools, the resources, and the strategies, I also think it's important to just take you behind the scenes and have these conversations because I am seeing a lot of entrepreneurial nonsense. And it needs to stop because you're getting people who get into their entrepreneurial journey and they're frustrated. And again, they feel like they've been bamboozled, and it's because they have. And so if you see the floss or the flex out here on social media, question it. If someone has to show you all of their nice things to prove to you that they're a successful entrepreneur, then more than likely it's BS. Because I roll with several entrepreneurs, and the ones who have it, the ones who are really doing good for themselves, the ones who got that cake stacked up in the bank, you would never know it by just looking at them in their everyday appearance. Now, if you get the privilege of being invited back to their home, you might see it then. But these people put in a lot. They put in years of work. They lived in average houses for a long time. And most of the people I know who are living in really nice houses and are entrepreneurs, they're not paying their, even if they have a mortgage, they're not paying it with their active income. So they're not going out and doing work and then taking that money that they've made for trading their time for that money. They're not taking it to pay a mortgage. These people are true entrepreneurs. So they have multi-family rental properties and single family rental properties that they rent out, And those people who pay rent end up paying the mortgage for the beautiful home that they have. You know, so like a mortgage isn't terrible, but you just have to go about it the right way. And so again, I think it's important to have these conversations. I think it's important for you to note that the flex doesn't always mean successful entrepreneurship. And as you go on your journey, it's important to remember this. Remember that each year you will grow, and you will get to a point when the flex may not be the flex. It's just seriously the lifestyle that you can afford. It's only a flex when you can't afford it. Remember, it's only a flex when you can't afford it. And so get to the point where you can afford the things that you purchase 3 times over, and stay in a space where you're saving money and you're not living for the flex, and you're not living for the entrepreneurial nonsense that you see out here on social media. So that's my message. That's my rant. I'm off my soapbox, and it's Friday night, Saturday morning. It's early. It's like 2 a.m. We were having a good old hoot, but you know, this was really heavy on my mind, and I just, while it was fresh, I decided to come out and share it. So that's all I have for you today or tonight. Check me out on Monday when I release a new video. Until then, bye for now.